is Andre, the host of the RC Afterhours podcast, and you are listening to episode number 84, which is Goodbye 2020. Today's show is basically going to be the wrap-up of the year, talk about the results from the surveys, and just hope that 21 is a better year. I don't know about you, but in the last 24 hours, it's been absolute chaos in the families. So I'm looking forward to the end of this year. No special plans for anybody who's in Ontario watching the news. We are in the middle of a COVID lockdown, so I'm on vacation and stuck at home, which has been the norm lately, right? So no flying or anything like that. Lots of bench time, and we'll get into some of the stuff I've been doing. But the focus of the podcast today is obviously going to be talking about the results from the survey we did. So thank you for everybody who submitted. And like I said, ongoing huge shout out. I'm drinking my coffee this morning out of my Yeti mug from Eddie Black and Wendy. Thank you guys. One of my favorite non-flying related products, but gotta love your coffee staying warm. So good morning to everybody who's watching now live on the show. It's an odd early morning, but like I said, I just fired up the stream and I'm doing this podcast, so got the numbers in, got everything I wanted to do, and really want to close out the year with a soft bang. Nothing too dramatic, nothing too crazy, and kind of just get into it. So first and foremost, a huge shout out to the Patreons and everything, all the subscribers and followers, and anybody who submitted to this thing. For those wondering, we haven't done the draw yet. I'm waiting on Sam to make sure his manufacturing from the Hangar RC group, make sure their manufacturing is up to snuff and everything, and he's satisfied with the product and everything, and then we will do that draw for the Texan, and those are for the Patreon subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber and you want in on that draw, woohoo, you still have an opportunity. So and I will continue to push that and everything. So I do apologize for the delay on that one, but I wanted to give him the opportunity, Sam, all the opportunity to make sure his product is going. If you're watching the video stream behind me, yes, one of the highlights of the year is that big, beautiful Canada 150 anniversary F-18, and that is the Hangar RC Wasp, which we'll talk about later in the show when I talk about some of my highlights. And anybody on the chat, if you want to dump in some of your highlights, I'd be more than happy to read them back for the show. But first and foremost, we're going to jump right into this amazing results. Some of them surprised me, some of them didn't surprise me, which I expected. All right, let me pull up all this content. For those listening, I will be as descriptive as possible. So basically, we had, how many categories? We had a ton of categories this year. Best foam plane, best balsa plane, best EDF jet, best Warbird, best high wing, best multi-rotor, best radio and FPV technology, and then other. And I love the comments everybody put in. So, we just it was really interesting to see. There are some defining results, like bam, this was your top plane, and then other ones were a little bit in tighter race, and even the numbers was still pretty hefty. And I kept pushing, saying, "Okay, you guys come out." I think next year maybe I'll define the parameters in November, and then we can probably try and hammer out the. I want as much engagement as possible when I do these things, because I don't want it to be a narrow focus group, but we still had plenty of people subscribing and talking and putting in their votes, and it was an ongoing change to the numbers occasionally, because like midway through someone would suggest a really good product that I hadn't even thought of. So maybe next year what I'll do is I'll do a pre-entry and say, okay, everybody dump in their stuff, and then we'll have like a couple of weeks of entries where everything is solid, so the numbers are consistent. But it's not scientific. It's not, it's nothing crazy. This is all your input. But basically what I did was I took all the numbers, and then I took the top 5 of every category, so we could just get the percentages and everything. And so it looked good. It's a really good competition. So here we go. Without delay, I'm going to bring up the website view, and I'll just read this out. I'll put all the numbers and everything into the podcast and the YouTube group, the description afterwards, so you can see the percentage. So drum roll, or There you go. Top airplane. So this is best foam airplane, and a huge shout out to Defiant Wings. Let's see if we can bring up the video. There it is. Defiant Wings Renegade. Yes, this has got 28% of the votes. In second place, with 22% of the vote, was the FMS Pitts 1400mm version 2. In third was with tying for second, I guess, with 22% of the votes, was the HRC Seven. So congratulations, Sam. That's the Hangar group. I don't have all the second place and third place links for the descriptions, but I'll dump them into all the video chats. Alex says he's building up his Defiant right now. Yes, and I broke the news this morning after I finished tabulating to Sean, and he was like, "Oh no." Sean's been very descriptive of how it's a hard plane to cut for a small manufacturer. It's very time consuming, but it's such a phenomenal product. So I've been pushing him, and I keep saying Ren X. I want him to produce a bigger version of this airplane. And Alex says he's still waiting on his ESCs. I'll talk about mine in a minute. I actually have it over there. And I'll talk about what I've been doing with mine afterwards. We'll come back to the subjects. In fourth place with 17% was the FlightLine Bronco, the 1400mm foam Bronco. And then in fifth place with 11% of the votes was the Flex MAMBA 10 Generation 2. But there you go. So a top foam, best foam plane. And it's really nice to see a small manufacturer kind of hammer away against the Goliaths, David versus Goliath. So again, if you're looking for a really fun FPV ship, I cannot rave enough about how much I enjoy flying this thing. Simple 2S, small motors, small ESC bundle, and just you slap on some FPV and go. And when I finally got mine all sorted out and flying and everything, because I was having some ESC issues, and my ESCs are still in the mail too, but we'll talk about that. What a plane. Okay. We're having fun, right? It's all about having fun. All right, number 2, the next category was the best balsa plane. And this one surprised me, and I've got a feeling I know why. And if you've listened and been part of this podcast for any time soon, we have a high wing obsession. And so the Cub Crafter, the Cub Crafter's Carbon Cub FX3 100 to 200 cc 165 inch wingspan, are from Hangar 9. This thing took the party. Actually, what happened was it was a 3-way tie for second place, and this is so it kind of blasted through. But anyhow, 38% of the vote went for this one. I was expecting the big new Bronco, and that only got 17%, followed by the Kingcraft limited edition Super Stearman. That's from Hobby King, and then the Nexa Dauntless, the big one, the 81-inch wingspan one. So that was interesting. That was really interesting. And then Flex MAMBA 120cc ARF was in fifth place with only 11%. So I got a feeling the Bronco probably could have taken this wing, taken this product, but I think the price and the overall complexity of the aircraft and twin motors and everything. But if I had the means, I tell you, this Hangar 9 would be it. And speaking of Hangar 9 Cubs, if there was something that defeated me about 2020, was the fact that I still have my Cub, my Carbon Z Hangar 9 stuck in Illinois with John, because so I have to make a decision next year whether, depending on when the border reopens and how safe it is to actually travel down to the States for someone like me, whether I hold on to it and go 21, or if I sell it off and just say, well, it was never meant to be. So, but again, congratulations to Hangar 9. This is a beautiful airplane. I think if you have the space to fly it and the means to transport it, I think it's almost just limitless as far as what you could do with it, and it looks so good. It looks really good. All right, moving on. Best EDF jet. Michael asks, where in Ontario I'm in Ottawa, and so basically our COVID numbers have been okay, but from my perspective, when they say it's a lockdown, I haven't been flying or nothing. So I'm kind of playing by the rules and just saying, let's keep it safe. But but he could be referring to, how do I get my cub home? Talk to the guys and everything. We have a couple strategies on how to do it. If not, yeah, and I've got friends in Buffalo as well. A couple of my really good buddies live in Buffalo. So, when we're doing the flight test stuff, or if we do the Flight Fest North, which we've done before a couple of years in a row, the guys have come up to here because it's only a 5-hour hop. So, all right, next up, the EDFs. Again, this one surprised me. This one really surprised me. So in the categories, oh, sorry, I'm not reading the right ones. Here we go. There we go. I jumped ahead. I was looking at the Warbirds. Again, there was a pretty healthy selection out of this one. And again, I love the fact that there is, for first place, it's always a very consistent win. And then after that, you can see where the ideas diverge. So in first place for best EDF of the year, boom, the E-flite A10 64 mil. Now, I've seen this one fly, and I have the FMS V1, and this is a nice airplane. The 64s I was thinking weren't going to do well, but the thing hauls. It's quiet and it hauls, and it's very impressive. It's pretty darn durable because I've seen them. I've done a couple hard landings with my A10, and that's one of the things I'll get back up in the air running. But yeah, best EDF, 39% of the vote went for this guy, the A10 from E-flite, so that's awesome. 29% went to the Flex Innovation F100D, the Super Sabre, the 90 mil, which is a really good airplane, but it had some QC issues, well, fit and finish issues, and we've seen that before, but it's unfortunate. Hopefully that'll go. And then after that, 19% the Freewing MiG-29, 9% for the Freewing Gripen, and 4% for the Freewing T-33 Shooting Star, which I thought was a shoo-in personally, because that's just a beautiful Cold War era kind of feel to it and everything. So, but the A10 took it home with the most votes. Okay, this is the big one, I think. The Warbirds. Everybody loves their Warbirds. Surprisingly enough, I don't feel like I flew my Warbirds nearly enough. I was kind of, when I did get out flying, it was the high wing and the sport flyers and a couple other little projects here and there when I did feel like going out flying and everything. So the Warbirds was interesting, and I'm really happy to have seen this one come out. And again, this was kind of tight. And you'll see by the numbers. So the RC Afterhours best Warbird for 2020, pow, a Bronco. But this is the FlightLine Bronco, the 1400 millimeter 55-inch wingspan Bronco, and this garnered 40% of the vote. Yeah, I think this one's the most defying win. No, there's one other that was really just a tiny bit ahead of this guy as far as, everybody collectively thinking and putting in something. This one's a really nice plane, and I admit I almost snapped one of these up. If I had been going to the U.S. this year, and if I hadn't been planning to bring back my Hangar 9, I think this one would have been drop shipped to one of my buddies in Ohio, and I would have picked it up at Flight Fest. So it's a really nice piece of kit, especially if you are into your high wing twin prop kind of thing. I just don't know about the landing gear, but everything I've read so far says it's fine. It handles it, and this is one of these airplanes. You drop the flaps and you can really grease in some nice landing with it. So, been enjoying flying the OV10 in FPV. Really nice flying aircraft, says Delta Dart. So there you go. FPV on this thing would be amazing. Yes. So this one garnished 40% of the votes. In second place at 35% of the vote was the E-flite P51 Mustang, which was nice. It's a nice looking airplane, 1.5 meter wingspan, so that's pretty cool. And then 10% was the Hawker Hurricane from Hobby King / H King, and then 10% after that, so tie for third really, the Nexus P40 ARF kit, which has got a 61-inch, and then after that 5% the Hangar RC Texan. Yes, the Texan got in on the fun, so that was good news. But congratulations to E-flite. E-flite's kind of collecting a little bit this year. All right. you've heard me say it before, but we love our high wings on the podcast. Myself and the listeners really do enjoy a good, solid flying high wing aircraft, and it's one of those mixed roles. You can FPV it, you can fly them off water, you can fly them in the winter, you can fly them in high winds. It's a versatile style aircraft. So this was I think this was pretty tight. There was a couple ties for third place as far as numbers go and everything, and it was a mixed variety. But you're going to be surprised on this one, or maybe not. Maybe it's just following tradition, but it's the E-flite UMX Turbo Timber. So taking over from its older brother, the Timber, who won a couple years ago, the UMX Timber, which I have, and I bounced off the post, and it's repaired and ready to go again for whenever I feel like flying it. But the Turbo Timber, the UMX Turbo Timber, was your pick as a high wing, best high wing of the year. And it collected 31% of the votes. In second place was its bigger brother, the Night Timber, at 24 votes, 24% of the vote. And then the normal Timber and the Legacy or Extreme Flight Turbo Bushmaster tied for third with 17% of the vote, and bringing up in fifth place with 11% of the vote was the new to the ring, I guess, is the Durafly Micro Tundra. So, which I really want to do. I really do want to try. So, there we go. At least we're consistent as a podcast, and it is. The UMX Timber and the Turbo Timber are solid products. Brushless motors, little 2S packs, and now that there's a variety of connectors and everything, you're not stuck with the E-flite battery. You can run something a little heavier, and I've proven mine's pretty durable and everything. And so if I was out looking for a lightweight aircraft that I could just fly around in a tight space, besides the plane of the year being the Defiant Wings Renegade, this would definitely be, if you're looking for a bind and fly solution right out of the box and go, I think this one is almost a no-brainer. So congratulations to E-flite. I mean, these guys were just cleaning it this year. Okay, there was one vote that I kind of laughed and was like, wow, you guys really are on point when it comes to this one. It was universal as far as votes, and that was best multi-rotor. Now, okay, I need to qualify this. I haven't flown multi-rotors until this fall. It's been a really long time, and I'm in the middle of revamping and kind of just doing some refreshes on my old one. But in the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden there are a bunch of new multi-rotors sitting on the bench here in my home, and so this vote was kind of interesting, but specs, there we go, show me a picture. Oh well, it's the DJI Mavic 2, and no kidding, eh? The Mavic 1 did really well, but the Mini, where's it? I'm just looking for a nice photo. There we go, for the people watching. Anyhow, they've done their work, and I've flown my buddies for a little while, and I've enjoyed it. In fact, I'll let you in on a secret. Even Chris from the podcast, well, former co-host with me, he picked up a 2. So, 90% of the votes. And after that, there was an Airblade UAV Transformer Mini. That was something that Frank suggested. I had 5%, and then 5% of the vote went for the Flywoo Explorer LR. And that's, look, stay tuned for the reviews on that puppy. So I even went that route, and it was interesting. All of a sudden, when I started flying the quads, knowing, okay, fine, the winter's here, I started working on my scrappy little quads and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, let's do this right. And so I now have it's analog because I don't have any digital transmission stuff. But so I ordered that. And then I get a text from Captain Drone. If anybody watches his YouTube channel, the guy's Steve is just cleaning house as far as subscriptions go and stuff like this, and product reviews and everything. So anyhow, he needed something. I had something, so he struck up a deal, and I'm suddenly, bang! I'm now a Mini owner as well. So it's a version 1, no big deal. It's, it doesn't have the extra batteries or nothing, but, it doesn't have the charger, but who cares? The point is I have one, and I will use it. I'd been really hesitant on buying one of these guys, actually. Even after I flew Steve's a few times and really like it, really know what they're about. But if you just want something that works, you slap your phone into it. The version 2's got a little bit more speed, a little bit more flight time, I believe. It's got the 10-kilometer video transmission range. It's crazy, right? And it works, and it records in 4K. So yeah, so it's interesting. I'm almost going to be just positioning these two reviews, the little Explorer and the Mini, the DJI Mavic Mini, and just, one does this, one does that, totally different reasons, totally different product ecosystems. But in the end, if you do it right, you probably could use them equally as well to acquire stuff. And we'll talk about this as we go on, because it's going to be part of some of my objectives and my goals and everything, and I'm hoping that you'll listen in and kind of carry on the journey. So again, congratulations DJI, right? They're just cleaning it up with this product, and no one's really come on market to challenge them for it. So again, the DJI Mini 2, and they're not even calling it the Mavic Mini anymore. I think they're just going with the Mini 2 because they realize it's its own beast now, and they're relatively inexpensive to own, kind of easy to take care of. So if you have any other ideas, by all means drop them into the comments, let me know, and like I said, we'll keep building, but again, I'm going to be flying my one and having a good time with it. All right, the next category was an interesting one, and this kind of evolved from me looking at the comments in the polls as we went through, and it wasn't a surprise, but and this is a topic I'm going to cover off as we go through it, and I realized there were subjects emerging from your comments which are really engaging and really interesting, and we'll dive into those as we go. So I kind of lumped again two categories together: best radio and best FPV system. And I guess if there's something that came out of 2020 was this technology kind of coming to the forefront and making itself available to the consumers. And as you might have guessed, the DJI FPV system really shined this year, and it captured like 57% of your vote, and then followed by that it was the Spectrum NX series, which looks really cool and interesting. Radio Master, their TX16S, there we go, that captured 11% of the vote, and the Jetty DS12, followed by, obviously, Fat Shark getting 5% of the vote with their HD system, which I really do hope they keep developing. And then Team Black Sheep's Tracer 2.5, 2.4 gigahertz radio system, capturing a little bit more. Again, DJI just showing how they're able to really listen to the market. And it was funny because before the end of the year, I was really on the fence as far as where I was going. And I think, even though I kind of like pushed away, I picked up those new or used HD3 goggles. So my Attitude V2s are now retired, and I've got a new set of analog FPV goggles, and I figured I would fly. But I suspect I will probably try and pick up a used set of DJI, version 1 goggles when the version 2 come out, because that'll be still good enough for me. And all these, and there was some really neat little comments throughout the poll about, like some of the CADX systems, coming up and partnering with DJI as far as HD. And then you've got all the other competitors, camera producers, Runcam and so forth, and Fox, starting to produce systems that'll work with the Fat Shark. So I kind of want to see this market space kind of evolve. But everybody I talk to who goes to HD, and especially the DJI stuff, says, oh, no regrets. Zero regrets, zero remorse about how much it costs to jump into it, because the quality is so good. The image experience is so good. And so, yeah, who knows? Who knows? I made a very serious decision at the end of the year saying I wouldn't do it, and I'm probably going to fix that in 21 and jump to that one. And I fully recognize how much this stuff costs, but at the same time, the experience and just the giggle factor alone. Now, things that I will say, like I would like to see, like there's no head tracking. At least to my knowledge, there's none. That would be something I would love to see them to incorporate into it, because if you have a pan and tilt system, you know, you miss out on that. But at the same time, the field of view and the camera resolution is good enough that you can move your eyes around it, and it's one less, you know, it's 2 less servos on the aircraft that you have to worry about. I like the fact that the VTX units, you can throw a card in there and record, and so you're getting your you know, nice feed, plus you're getting your recording feed off your goggles and so forth. You know, I tap this as watch this space evolve in 21, because I think that they're pushing hard. I do want to see Fat Shark push the product, because I looked at the Fat Shark product and my goggles with the HDMI input, I can buy their module and everything. And their transmitter modules seem smaller, lighter, and you know, more traditional as far as the form factor goes. But at the same time, you look at the quality, and a good analog system is almost, in some aspects and some points, will outperform the digital aspect. And so it's a hard buy right now. It's a hard, but I get that Fat Shark is trying, so that's awesome. Don't stop, basically, is what I'm saying. So, all right, I'm gonna jump into your comments and your topics. Kind of got in trouble because I never said there were any helicopters, and I really didn't touch any of the helicopters this year. Delta Dart commenting back on it. Head tracking would be huge important. The older race edition system had that integrated in, and it worked really well. Yeah, and it's not a hard thing to do either. I think it's a little module, so that would be. We'll see what happens with V2, right? Stay tuned, as I said. Okay, back to the helicopters thing. Sorry for digressing there. I giggled. Yeah, I didn't have any helicopters, so there were two suggestions. Actually, there were 3, and I started giggling because you'll see. It's a good running joke. The Goblin Kraken 580, the Robar 800, Roban 800, BO 150, and then out of nowhere, the Texan. So I'm like, wow, that's not a helicopter. And I giggled. And then best other optional, talking about some of the other comments that people were talking about that they really liked this year was things like the wing simulator. That was a nice bonus for 21. So, or 2020, sorry. Cat's attacking me and distracting me. Yeah, I bought the wing simulator. I love it. I've flown with a couple of friends, and I think into January and February, and it's really disgusting. Maybe we'll flash up the flight simulators. Flight simulators, that was another comment. Flying with friends via the simulators when it was really bad come March or earlier this year. Huge morale boost. Huge thing just to get in there. And so cool. All right. So carrying on with the best others, and this was an optional, so obviously wing simulator. Congratulations to the guys for making that. That's Kitchen Sinks. They did a really good job on it. Someone said their favorite plane, Durafly Tundra. Durafly Tundra will always be our favorite plane. And then favorite crawler, the Axial. Well, yeah. I mean, I like my Axial. I like my Traxxas. I haven't actually touched my trucks in a long time, which has been interesting. And then this Texan showed up in optional others as well. I mean, I don't know why it keeps showing up, but there it was again, Texan. All right, best new technology. Again, one of this other optional, and that was the radio choices out of nowhere. Or maybe we saw this building, but the quality of these radios, I'm being told, is better and better and better. I think they're right. I think these guys have stumbled on it, or the mainstay guys have just kind of run out of tricks. And I love the fact that I have one of the other. I have both radios in my fleet, and even myself, I've been starting to play with the Black Sheep, Team Black Sheep's Crossfire stuff. So cool, right? But I'm hearing a lot of people thinking that they want to, get rid of things like their FR Sky radios because of some of the stuff the FR Sky has done with the market. And then the Spectrum radios, I guess it comes down to, what do you fly, what do you need, and how do you want to go with this stuff? Let's see. If you're doing all bind and fly and that's where you go, you obviously love your Spectrum radios. And I love my DX9. I love having that because it's taking pressure off my FR Sky radio, which was running out of memory space because of all the models in there. So cool. And then I can throw my module, my Team Black Sheep module into my FR Sky. But again, you look at something like one of the Radio Masters are doing and stuff like this, and the HAL 9 gimbals, Open TX, you're getting a really comparable radio system with a multi-spectrum, multi-protocol transmission abilities. And the price is just wow. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to push and see if we can get a review of one of those radios on the podcast to see what we think. But all the reviews and all the people I've talked to who run them love them to death. So here we got a comment here. The digital system is the carrot everyone loves. We'll wait and see what everyone thinks of the mandatory geofence lockouts once those hit, and once the regulations jump in and tie into DJI's remote ID system. Yep, that's something that broke. I wasn't going to really touch it on the show until this episode, until I actually have a little bit of time to read and digest what the whole remote ID entails. It sounds like a little micro transponder and everything. Lots of technical questions and everything. So I don't know, maybe we'll be able to drag someone in onto the podcast who can talk to us about some of the benefits and some of the systems and everything and some of the options as far as they go. Again, this is kind of why I think the little sub 250 and the quad, I'll talk about this as I go into the show, but I think that's why the sub 250 class is going to absolutely explode. And we saw progress this year, and I think for 21, you're going to see a huge evolution as far as this goes. Okay. Carrying on with some of the best new technology. So coming back to it, the Caddx Vistix, it came out earlier in the year, and we started seeing all the naked systems and everything. So the HD thing just going. And again, another one of the notes was the DJI FPV / HD FPV. Just incredible. Really changed a lot of the viewing experience, and it was one of those things where it's almost sad if you're a longtime analog guy, you're sitting there and hey Raf, Happy New Year as well, buddy. Oh my God, cat. Thunder. All right, sorry, cat attacking me again. If you were new to the market and just getting started, it feels almost easy to do it, but I have so many cameras and so many analog systems that it almost seems, and to think about, like, if you have a favorite aircraft and you're going to move that over, and the cost. So the startup costs, I think, are really high, but I think if you convert over 100%, it's worth it. But maybe it helps you focus down. Who knows? I'm rambling about it, but it's an interesting subject, and I think it's going to be one of those dominating subjects for 21 because looking at products and a lot of the bind and fly stuff or plug and go, like even like, again, little quads, you can get a full HD quad, and I think it's almost cheaper to buy, and I've said this before, I think it's cheaper to buy one of these things that are ready made and everything. I know that the building guys are just like, no, component for component wise, it's probably easier to get an HD system on one of these quads and then salvage it or rip it apart and dump it into something you want versus buying things on their own. That's just my theory right now, but I suspect I'm right on it because I think cost-wise and everything and the packaging and all this stuff when you factor all that in. So who knows? All right, carrying on. Another one of the highlights someone mentioned for them was the Spectrum Smart technology, the battery and the chargers and everything. Won't buy it, but I respect it. And I said the same thing. Having those intelligent batteries and anybody who's got a bigger DJI system, about the smart batteries, and that's pretty cool to those are really handy in the sense they discharge on their own. Anybody who's super busy and forgets, who wants to be damaging their batteries, right? So I understand the smart technology. I just it's another point break, and point it just sets the bar a little bit higher. And like, every time you go and you look at a new piece of technology, new piece of kit, well, I had to go buy 4 new batteries to feed this little monster, right? So it's like, so again, it's one of those things where if you jump into an ecosystem, it's almost easier to be within that ecosystem. Right? If you're an Android guy, you buy all Android stuff, right? Or Google stuff. If you're an Apple guy, well, duh. And it kind of works itself out to your benefit. Yeah, your upfront costs, I think, are a little high, but I don't know if I'm ready to adopt all these other technology, and that was another point. Insta360 V2. Some of these cameras have come along like the camera tech and the naked cams. Isn't that awesome? They're expensive. Again, really expensive. The Insta360 naked, I think it's called the One or whatever. Stripped down, I think it's $240, $300 US. Okay, it's a really amazing camera, but because there's no shielding on it or anything like that, oh gosh, right? And what are we doing? We're slapping them on front of the quads. Pardon me. Myself, I took one of my 1080p cameras, the JS4000 or SJ4000, stripped it down, found a thing on Thingiverse, printed it up, slapped it onto my quad, and I get a sub 250 camera. It's only 1080. I can't do any of the stabilization, but I don't care. But again, if you go HD system, you're bypassing all that requirement. Yeah, you might get some transmission drops in your video feed coming off your goggles, but who cares? And if you're interested in sharing your flight, well, then you've got it at least. If not, it's just, for good giggles, all right? So, let's see. iNav 2.6 with Safe Home. This was really cool. That was a really cool thing. I watched Andrew Newton's video about that, and I actually wanted to add his name to something. Andrew. That was really cool to see that, and I liked his rationale. He says, okay, you get this safe technology, so this geofencing technology, but now you can say, okay, I only want you to land inside this, like you can further contain where your return to home is, or instead of flying over this random spot. So in my case, okay, I can say, yeah, you hover over this spot in the field I fly in, but don't go too far over there because there's a football field that's active. Don't go too far over there because there's a school. I can actually locate and lock this down. One thing I will say that I was really impressed, I watched the Flywoo, their new Hex, which is like the 6-motor version of the Explorer, right? Their new board with the F7 has a built-in Bluetooth, which means you don't need a wire to do any of your tuning, which means you could, in theory, be doing your updates from your phone and so forth, which is pretty darn cool. That I want to see pushed. I want to see iNav and Betaflight and so forth on my phone. So if I'm in the field and I don't have to drag a laptop with me to do all my tuning and everything, maybe it's a light, sweet version where you don't get as much, but Bluetooth technology, we have the technology. The boards are so tiny and everything. And like the new version of this board, it's a 16 by 16 mil tiny little flight controller, and the 4-in-1 has 4, or in the case of the 6, the Hex has 6 35 amp ESCs. I mean, my goodness, it's tiny. It's so tiny. Like I'd be terrified to do the soldering myself, I think, but whatever. It's really cool, and it's one of the areas I'm pumped about for 2021, right? All these microization. And years ago, I remember being on the podcast with David Vinstall, and we were like, "This is the worst thing ever. I want my components that they blow to be individual." Now you got if it blows, it's a $20 board. Swap that out, throw in the new one, go. Wow. And again, there's an HRC Texan and under the best new technology. I don't know how that happened. Sam, was that you? It couldn't have been Sam. He wouldn't do that. Okay. So, comments and other product votes. And again, this was an optional. Real flight when the fields were closed due to COVID. And again, I have some really fond memories of the guys and I just giggling away at night, sitting there with our remotes, their kids in the background, the dogs barking and stuff like this. And we're flying. And it was a really good opportunity to connect. And I encourage you and your buddies and everything to really find that way to do it. The tech... the computer tech isn't that crazy to run real flight, and we found out that even though I was running version 9, the guys could fly on version 7.5 and stuff like this. So we just had to find the common fields and common aircraft and everything. And you throw on your chat, whether it's over Facebook Messenger or Discord or something like that, and you just laugh and you try and hover in front of each other and just be goofy and tag and just. But it's that interconnectivity that we're missing that we don't get to do regularly. That's super important, and will as the winter gets worse and worse and worse, and we get deeper into it. And if things don't improve, we will work on that, and I will try and host a couple here and there and everything, and devote some time to it. So, all right. Here's another little comment here. Most of the technology is going to turn into Most technology is going to go on to full on turning to OSD using radio. Not sure on the fixed wing stuff, but the field of quads is turning to OSD now. You know what? And I'll talk about this later on. I've been dumping flight controllers into a lot of my new wings and stuff like this. So that technology just kind of moves over. The board sits in there between iNav and even Betaflight to a little bit. Yeah. If you have a wing and just the ability to say, oh, I'm having a problem, let's stabilize that thing automatically and do a little return to home orbit, why would you not? And it's getting smaller and smaller. You can get the little tiny nano GPS receivers. And so it's amazing. It really is amazing. And really, why wouldn't you? As long as the flight controllers have some output so we can put some servos onto it and they can sustain power, right? So, hey, John Davis. Talking about you earlier in the show. Thanks, buddy. John Davis has my Hangar 9 Cub. Every once in a while, he comes over and he takes a photo of it and tells it, gives it a little rub on its belly, saying one day it'll happen, right? Okay, where was I? Other comments. Hangar 9, HRC Texan. Sam, I don't know how it's happening. All these Texan posts, Jeez, it's like a rigged vote or something. Anything from the Bango to Adult section. I don't know who sent that in, but that's just wrong. That's wrong, but I had to throw it in. It was funny. Suggestions for the podcast. Lots of nice keep it going, Andre. Something about a polar plunge episode. Are you out of your mind? Scratch builds. Yes. I kind of started doing some bench time videos earlier on, so we'll get there, and we'll do stuff. And once in a while, maybe I will do a live build session, live Q&A session. Let me know in the comments if anybody's interested in it. That goes for the podcast and the live video. Cut your hair live. Heck no. There's no way in the world you're going to be able to convince me to cut my hair. I'm having fun. All right. Some suggestions for guests for the show. We've got people like Mike Finley. Mike and I go back. It could be fun to hear his talk because he was talking to, especially when I started jumping back into the quads. He started putting in his field of his views and stuff like this. So again, all possible. Mike and Chris, yep. We've talked to it, and like I said, Chris recently picked up a Mini 2, so I'd like to get him on the show once he's had a little bit more seat time with it to really figure stuff out. David Vindestol, Steve Neal, all the guys, RC Sailor, Captain Drone, Brian Phillips, YouTube, and Bill Decker. Would be kind of fun to get Bill on the show and get his view on a couple things. All right. Surprises of 2020. The Legacy Aviation Muscle biplane. Yep. Redcat buying Fat Shark. Yes. That was huge. And it really caught us off guard as well. So Redcat, they'd snapped up. Well, Redcat produces trucks. They're known for their trucks. Their gas trucks. They're big monster gas trucks, and they're crawlers and stuff like that. They snapped up Rotor Riot earlier on, and Rotor Riot were a huge promoter of the DJI goggle system, and now Fat Shark is owned by them. So what happens there? Who knows? Be interesting to see in 21. I look forward to what they come up with, and I really do hope that is the cash infusion Fat Shark needs to figure out some of their more technical issues with the HD system. All right, Stuart back at a Hobby King. Yes, 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 yes. Stuart and I have been talking. Like his transition when he went from Hobby King to Motion, there's a timing thing, so he has to respect that from a contractual obligation. So in 21, will be raring to come on the show and talk about everything, and we can have some really good discussions about the industry, because obviously Stuart's been a fan or a supporter of the podcast, and Hobby King, I've been a fan and supporter of the podcast for a long time, so it's going to be good. It will be really good for the show again, and it gives me something to it gives me that spark as well, because like I said in a couple episodes, really was looking for, who do I talk to? Who do I have a conversation with about everything? So, okay. Other surprises of 2020. Yep. The Hangar RC, the Hangar RC interlink. Sam and I just started chatting, and something really nice has happened out of that. So, and there will be a draw, as I said, for the Hangar RC Texan in RC After Hours colors, and like I said, that I really enjoyed the Wasp experience, which is sitting in behind me. I'll throw the chat up so we're not looking at the same stuff afterwards. COVID depression, that was real. That was really hard to get my head around as well. Everybody experienced it in all our different ways. But it was nice. The interlinking and the chatting in smaller groups also I found really worked well for me too. Like I said, a lot of people don't like Facebook. I love Facebook Messenger because I get to talk to a lot of good buddies. And things like, even my little flight test, our little flight test group, really important, really nice just to get in there and say hi, and just every once in a while keep those connections going and so forth. So, giveaways. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously, there's going to be the Hangar RC Texans coming up, and go from there. From my end, obviously, it has to be something I can fire out from the U.S., because if I do it out of Canada, crazy shipping costs, just crazy, and Canada Post is absolutely broke right now. So, here was a really interesting point with the pandemic. The prices of RC planes seem to have gone up and up and up, and there were less and less sales. There were also less new planes released. Yes and no. I agree, yes and no. And it seems that way. We don't know what the government will do in regards to rules changing and affecting our hobby. Hopefully 21 will be better for new releases and planes in stock. There have been a lot of planes that have been out of stock this year. There was a really interesting post from Dynam when they were talking about their new Hawker, the Hunter, the Jet. Cargo containers apparently are in scarce supply. So obviously as a shipper, you charge more, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And I agree. We saw this wave of airplanes earlier in the year, and then things kind of petered off. And I think it's just, manufacturers seeing running into one, production issues, two, seeing less sales. But I talked to my buddies at the RC shop here at in Ottawa, Great Hobbies, and they can't keep stuff in stock sometimes, like the trucks, particularly the trucks. So I guess trucks are easier to produce. I don't know, foam, plastic, who knows? But I agree. I think we'll see as things stabilize, we'll see the market kind of changed a little bit, I wonder. I know I didn't fly any of my jets in 20, which was an error on my part, but that was just how things went. I think, like I said, my prediction is that you will see a lot of smaller sub-250 variants on a lot of airplanes. I'm thinking we're going to see an explosion from E-flite. Or I'm kind of hoping a lot of UMX airplanes just really, really, really right on the cusp of the edge of the 250 mark, just because. So, all right. And the virus. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about this anymore. It's just been so crazy and just unpredictable is the word I'll use to describe it. Just when we think we've got something sorted out, and bang, we see something different show up. So, I don't know. All right. I'm going to talk about my highlights, right? Because it really helped define the year. First and foremost, a huge shout out to Sean, who sat down and came up. And we never did Yard Challenge version 2. And maybe we'll save that into the new year when we're all kind of like design punchy. But the Yard Challenge was amazing. You guys, hey, speaking of the devil, there's Sean from Defiant Wings. The yard challenge was amazing, and Raph did a really good job of, and all these really cool designs that came out. So I think we'll have to revisit that, Sean. And out of that came this wonderful little airplane, the Defiant Renegade, which has turned into Sean's personal nightmare. But that's okay. We're allowed to say it's a happy error. I guess the real cool part about the whole design challenge was seeing the different flying, seeing amount of the people who like myself fly into trees frequently, which is rewarding, because I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who does it. But we will totally do one. So Sam and the crew from Hangar RC really enjoyed that link, really enjoyed the build, really enjoyed some of the stuff. I'm actually doing a side project trying to build something up, but I'm realizing just how terrible I am at making an airplane look good. I can scratch build like nothing else, but they all have one going theme. They're boxes. They're flying boxes. Maybe that's not a bad thing. I'm really keen, as I said earlier in the show, to see where this sub 250 class stuff goes. I actually hovered this guy. I was last night, I was tinkering around, learning my Team Black Sheep radio systems and updating and everything. Threw a 3S on this thing, hovered, and was stunned at just how quiet it is. It sounds really cool. It's got like this little whine when you fire it up the motors, but it's dramatically quieter than my DJI Mini. So that's on 3S. I can't wait to try it in forest. Can't wait to get it outside and go. So it'll be interesting to see where all this technology leads. From an airplane point of view, yeah. I mean, these are little 1400, little 2750 kV, 1404 motors. Imagine these things on 4S on a Defiant Renegade. The thing would haul. So keep going with the miniaturization. We've always said the drone community helps the plane community, in that the technology and the push for technology and everything always trickles down to us. We always go when we use it, the flight controllers and stuff like this. So, woo. All right. The another highlight for me was the laser engraved sign from Nathan Knight. Check out his YouTube channel. So Nate just got a full on laser printer, and laser cutter, not printer, and it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And he says the differences and everything. And it's been fun to watch his progression through it. And I was talking with the guys the other night and said, does everybody now have a laser cutter? Because I feel like I don't have one. I don't have the space for one. I don't think I'd ever want one in the garage with the GT6 and stuff. Call me crazy. But it feels like everybody's got one now. So, all right. What else did I really enjoy? Watching the interacting with the community about this podcast, and even myself, I made a point, laser boys. I made a point that as a creator, I kind of feel like I towards the latter bit of the year, I feel like I started feeling a lot more creative. It took me a little bit of time from a work standpoint to try and get my head around work with all the COVID stuff. And once I got that, I think I relaxed and I started becoming more creative, and I'm going to keep pushing away on all these projects and keep pushing away, trying to keep the YouTube channel going, because I like seeing those stats. I like seeing the inspiration, and just trying to make my own brand of video. Not saying my videos are great, but it's me, and it's my experience through it. So, all right. 21. What do I want to do? All right, I got a ton of iNav projects, so hang in for me with that one. A lot of you guys I lean on for your experience, because it helps me like shortcut and get through it all. There's a wing, there's a beautiful new wing that I got for Christmas behind me. Oh, that's true. Thanks, Sean. Forgot about that. Yes, the channel hit 3,000 subscribers this year. So thank you. That was awesome. And the podcast keeps going. I think we cracked 120,000 downloads, which is not bad for a little rinky-dink podcast. So again, thank you. Let's see. Fuel-based. All right. I was so excited about my airplane, my gasser. I have, 2 gas planes. I've got the nitro plane. And I never got out to the flying field. And it was interesting listening to some of the comments coming back. Or they were updating as the COVID stuff comes in. So there's no hot and everything. It's a 30-minute drive out there. You're in the middle of a field. It's cold. So I'm like, you know what? Let's park this plane. And actually this week I took the batteries out of it, the life packs out of the extra and everything, and I parked them. And that airplane will come back on stream. I'm actually going to change the CG layout. And I posted something on Instagram, and there's another gentleman in, I want to say, I don't know where he is. He's in a really nice warm location right now, I can tell you that. And we were exchanging the differences between his layout as where he had his batteries. And I'm going to put mine into the fuselage because taking off the cal is too much work. It's annoying. So I'll put some weight up front. I know it's sinful to have weight in the plane, but whatever. It just means I can take and service the batteries. The leads to the batteries are better. The charging will be easier and so forth. So that's the plan for that one. It will come back and it will totally get flown. I got friends here in Ottawa who have been really inspirational and helpful in that. So huge shout out to them, and great hobbies for supporting me on some of those adventures. So like I said earlier in the year, it felt like anything that didn't get accomplished in 20 is definitely being pushed over for 21, but zero guilt about it. There's no pressure. There's no guilt about it. It's all about doing it. So, and I'm really happy to say there is at least a few review aircraft coming in to the channel, and that's courtesy of everybody who's pushed and everybody who's commented, and some of the efforts, like I said, just mentioned, just trying to punch up the quantity and the quality on the YouTube channel. So those YouTube reviews will also trickle into the podcast and everything. So thanks again, and we'll keep going. All right, and thanks has to go back to Sam from Hangar RC for all the interaction, Sean and Frank for all the iNav and the various FPV stuff, Nate for that sign, Bill Decker, thank you for sending me that awesome Dreamflight label, which I will be mending up a touch bit more. Lewis and John, thanks guys. You guys are you're my dark moment chat buddies when we're all feeling kind of cranky and annoyed about parenthood, life, and all the stuff, and not getting to go flying. Andrew Newton for answering all my various questions about the about all the craziness for iNav and everything. So Andrew is just an awesome guy and so open to discussion about everything. And the flight test crew guys, thanks guys. They're some good friends, and I really missed not being part of the flight crew this year. That was no fun. And obviously the Patreon subscribers and supporters and everything. Michael says, OMP Hobbies, Ohio Model Products, came out with some great PNP planes this year and some helis. Yeah, they've had quite the year. I admit that too. Yep. And I looked at it. A few friends in Canada got them early on. I looked at the shipping and was like, unfortunately it's just too much for the shipping for me. But yes, I agree. Some of that stuff, and a couple of their products were in the high wing stuff, but they never garnished more than one vote or piece kind of thing. So they didn't make it to the vote, and I apologize for that. But again, pretty cool products. I'd like to have tried a couple of them. And who knows, maybe we'll touch base with them again in the new year and see if we can figure something out. All right. I'm going to start the wrap up on this awesome podcast because it is actually not too bad at all. I'm kind of impressed. We managed to almost eke out an hour. So, Patreon subscribers, I want to remind you guys, and I'll bring up the main screen, that if you're interested in this aircraft, stay tuned. As soon as Sam has it ready to go for the vote, we will, as soon as he's got it ready for shipping, pardon me, lose my voice here. As soon as he's got it ready for shipping and everything, we will totally do that draw. I will try and get him on the show too so he can talk about it because it looks really clean, really nice, and I think it's going to be a nice, enjoyable build. So again, check it out. And Hangar RC has also chipped in a discount, and it's good till the end of February 21. That's 10% off. Stickers. If you want to support the podcast in a little bit, there's some swag. Totally get in on the swag. I got my t-shirt on. I got my hoodie around me somewhere. And by request, there are a couple Blame Andre. I should get myself a Blame Andre t-shirt or mug or something like that one day, but totally. What's another comment here? Surprised that Willie Nelson didn't come out with a more special Sub 250 push. Willie Neals. I'm not sure who that is, but there's going to be more in the market. You've got to know there's more people going to be pushing sub 250 gram stuff and everything. So again, I'm going to wrap up the podcast and simply say a massive thank you. Where is that podcast music that we know and love? I won't say 21 has been super, but I will say I've been really happy with everything that everybody's been able to do and the contribution on a whole. So again, thank you for all the Patreon subscribers, anybody subscribing to the podcast, the YouTube channel, and everything. You guys make this all possible, and have a fantastic end of year. Let's hope we get some of these monkeys off our shoulders. I'm Andre. You are listening to the RC After Hours podcast. Thanks for everything. Have a fantastic end of the year, and Happy New Year. See you in 21. Oh, that's funny. I got so excited about the end of the show, and I clicked off. I'll fix that in post. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being part of the last episode of 20. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm actually not even sure. I'll have to look at the numbers as far as how many podcasts I managed to do this year. I think I'm in about the 20. And yes, Mike Finley, we talked about you. There was a couple people asking you guys if you... did I miss the whole thing? Yes, you missed the whole thing. Mike Finley, you want to come on the show one time in the new year? Hey, man, let me know. Hit me up with a text message later on. So post-production wise, I'll try and wrap this thing up before the end of the afternoon, put in all the links and everything, and we'll wrap the show up and everything. It's okay. There'll be more episodes coming in. May have to start up your own. Oh, no, just come on this show. Why replicate? Come on, Mike. I could put you on the show. The last one we did, maybe I'll get Chris and you and Mike and everything. That last episode we did on your show was hilarious. Yeah, I'll wrap it up. I'll put it in. Again, everybody, thank you for your submissions and everything. That was awesome to do the reviews. Not the reviews, but the tally and everything. Huge shout out to Sean, and congratulations. You better get cutting, buddy. You're probably going to see some votes or some additional purchase requests on that one, the Renegade, because it's an awesome little airplane. Myself, I don't know what I'm going to flying again. I'm kind of respecting that the whole COVID... The whole COVID, it's tough. It's tough. I want to go flying. At least these sub 250s, the quads. Hey, Mike, I can go and jump around the backyard and stuff like this. So, all right. Enough of me rambling. Apparently, I got to go shovel a driveway. So, thanks for everybody who's watched the show live today. Stay safe. Be smart, and we'll talk to you in the new year. Ciao, everybody. Bye.